أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقل الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. I bear witness that there is one God, Allah. I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is the last, the final messenger of Allah, after whom no prophet, old or new, will come. And I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I have read from the Quran in Arabic, chapter 17, verse 111. And I translate it as follows. Say, all praise belongs to Allah, who has never taken a son as begotten, and there never could have been an associate for him in rulership, and he never required a friend in need. So proclaim him with shouts of greatness. Unlike any other in creation, human beings alone can develop ideas. Our strength and our survival as human beings are dependent upon the ideas that we develop in our life. Our ideas may become words, then they become actions. Our actions become habits, which then become our personality or character. And it is that that determines our destiny. Islam is an idea and a concept for peaceful and successful living given by God, given by Allah to human beings, and developed from the time of Adam to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, when these ideas were perfected. The power and forcefulness of any idea depends upon certain circumstances. The first is the time when the idea is brought forward. Is the idea relevant and suitable to the age and time when it is presented? The second is, are there opportunities that allow for that idea to develop? As an illustration, if Albert Einstein had presented his theory of relativity some centuries before, scientists had neither the mathematical knowledge to understand it, nor did they have the means or equipment to test his theory. As we look at the history of every religious concept, we will note that we can judge the failure or success of religious concepts and ideas to see whether time or the time that these ideas came forward were appropriate for the people and their circumstances, and whether there were opportunities there for these ideas to develop. We can also apply this observation to politics, as well as to other kinds of philosophical and other ideas. But when it comes to Islam, we can assess the strength of Islam by looking closely at the ideas of the Prophet Muhammad. We must remember that Islam is not an idea that is given to us by leaders, by religious personnel, by Maulanas and Mulvis and scholars who have all developed it with formulas and rituals. Islam is an idea that was given by our Creator. from time immemorial and perfected in the time of the Prophet Muhammad. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and presented in the Quran. So that these ideas were not his ideas, they were concepts that came from God. They were concepts that came from Allah. They were ideas from God that were revealed to him. The concepts given in the Quran were given at a time when the entire world was in material, economic, intellectual, moral, and spiritual crisis. Crookedness appeared in moral concepts and behavior because of human handling, says the Quran. Muhammad came at a time when the world needed a personality of high morals. He was able in his lifetime to apply these Quranic concepts to transform his society from barbarism to civilization. For any idea to be really true, to be forceful and to be powerful, it must be able to withstand the test of severest investigation. The ideas given in the Quran have been successfully tested during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, during his lifetime, and also in the ages that followed. These ideas were successfully tested in many countries and among people of different ethnic, social, and economic backgrounds, and they worked every time. The ideas given in the Quran, when properly understood and suitably implemented, are guaranteed to make a society not only better, but more progressive and successful in every aspect of human activity. O man, we have not revealed the Quran to you for you to be unsuccessful, says the Quran. We live in a world in which there are so many scientific ideas. Information is provided to people about business management and project management, all of which are given as knowledge to develop their skills so that they could be more proficient and efficient, and that they can perform better in the jobs that they do. But one essential aspect that is lacking in education, knowledge, and training is in the development of ethics. A person may be trained to operate some machinery, a tool, a computer, etc. But outside of the jobs they do, they may lack discipline or teamwork and fall short in morality and integrity. Their success is judged on how well they do, and not on who they are. There is, for example, an instance of highly qualified and trained persons who left their jobs using a company vehicle. They stopped somewhere and drank alcohol. Later on, one ended up in a ditch quite dead, while the other could not remember what had happened. We ask the question, was it necessary for these learned, educated, trained individuals, was it necessary for them to go and drink themselves virtually to death? People may have good incomes and come from good families, but their own personal attitude to life, the values they uphold, and the bad influence of the environment show a lack of the ability to distinguish between right from wrong and what is appropriate from what is necessary. Many people do indulge in certain pleasures of life, such as music, singing, and dancing. They may even become popular as stars or idols in sports or in the arts. It happens too often that they may then suffer a tragedy, such as an accident, or they may be robbed, kidnapped, shot, stabbed, or become victims of drug addiction. And this is so common. They may also have little to do with religion. They may not have followed any religion at all. They may never have attended or supported any church, mosque, or temple. But in such time of crisis, when they are virtually at the point of death or have suffered some kind of major handicap or tragedy or great pain befalls them, one would notice that those who rally around them are the priest, the imam, or the pandit, rather than the people with whom they associated with. Their wealthy sponsors and thousands, sometimes millions of fans abandon them and move on to their next adoring hero or to adoring their next hero. The religious leaders are now demanded to come and spend time with them in counseling and saying prayers, etc. But when these well-known personalities were in better circumstances, they may have never bothered to attend or assist the mosque, the church, or the temple, or those who strive to maintain it. On the other hand, the reason why some people do not attend places of worship is because of the kind of harshness of doctrines and teachings that are often promoted therein. We may call this the Pharisaic attitude, like Pharisees, that if a person does not come to a mosque, the leaders will say, if a person does not come to the church or the temple or does not follow the rituals of religion, then that person is considered by the religious leadership to be destined to hell, to be doomed to burn in the fires of hell. There is either little or no mercy or forgiveness that is shown by the leaders. Often, these persons who are drinking alcohol or taking drugs or attending a different place of worship or doing any wrong action that the religious leaders consider to be wrong, they are not welcomed by the leaders and their congregation in their houses of worship. Islam as a religion is all-inclusive. Whether people are good or bad, they do need religion. They do need God, says the Quran. Good people will become better people, and bad people will become good people, but only when they are willing to walk along the right path by accepting the right religion. The Quran informs us that a right religion is the faith or example of Abraham, who as an imam or leader was so tolerant and tender-hearted that he began to plead with Allah for Lot's people who are alleged to be gay. Abraham's prayer for Lot's people is mentioned in chapter 11, verses 74 and 75. Religion is always an opportunity to change our roles and our goals in life. But among many self-righteous people, there is an attitude that you either believe or you are damned. If you don't follow religion, you are damned is the slogan of certain church parties from among all religions. But these were never the teachings of the founders of any of the religions. What churches teach and what their founders taught are very often at variance with each other. This attitude is sometimes also reflected in politics, where there's supposed to be a separation of religion and the state. Many political movements promote radicalized secularism by shutting religion out of politics. But when you do that, from where will you get moral values? Many political leaders identify with a particular religious faith system, but their policies and behavior show that their religious teachings are a failure. The teachings of Jesus, for example, Jesus Christ, as stated in Matthew and Luke, and I quote, "Resist not evil, but whoever smite you on your right cheek, turn to him the other also." And he also said, "Love your enemies." But these are certainly impractical in dealing with terrorism or with so many other crimes that are committed in a secular society. So those who promote these ideas do not actually put them into practice. They go for the strongest punishment against their enemies. Indeed, no society can follow this doctrine and remove their entire police force and army, as some are suggesting today. The world's nations are united instead under the doctrine of Moses' law as found in Deuteronomy. And I quote, "Your eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot." The world is witnessing the resurgence of the Crusades, where a policy of an aggression of soldiers are compelled to march on to war in the name of democracy or some other political ideology. In some cases, the bullet does not replace the ballot. But nowadays, riot replaces the ballot. The moment a community begins to riot, they are supported and the government is overthrown and a new government is installed without an election. Muslim leaders are justifiably called upon to condemn the violence of terrorism unleashed by criminals yelling the name of Islam. But leaders of other faith systems do not as readily condemn violence which still continues even after those religious communities participated in 2 world wars, a Holocaust, the slaughter of tribes in Africa and the Americas, and ethnic cleansing in Europe and elsewhere. The peoples of the world today are complacent and have readily advocated and adopted the use of violence as a means of defending political and economic freedom, while at the same time denying religious freedom. The radicalized secularists demotes religion to the level of private observance, without or with little state support. Even though people of all religions contribute their fair share of taxes, many states enact laws to use taxes only for radicalized secularism and forbid its use for religious purposes. Every religion is a failure when it fails to develop peace, tolerance, and humility in its followers, and extend these to all humankind. Religious people believe in a dead God when they think that their salvation is not in God's hand, but in their own, and they can behave as they want in order to bring about a change in society by riot, violence, and mayhem. We owe it to our children to give them the exposure to a better Islam, for it is in them that we will witness the true strength of Islam, the Islam of peace, not hostility. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim, wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikr al-hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun kareem, malikun barrur raufur rahim. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara deen Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam waj'alna minhum. Allahumma agzul man khazala deen Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa la taj'alna minhum. Inna Allaha ya'muru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkurun. Uzkurullaha yazkurkum wad'uhu yastajib lakum wa la zikrullahi ala akbar.